In this video, I want to talk about the general characteristics of adaptive immune receptors like the T and the B cell receptor. So first of all, they are antigen specific. So each T or B cell recognizes only one unique antigen. And that's obviously in huge contrast to the toll-like receptors, or these pattern recognition receptors that we discussed for the innate immune cells, because they recognize broad classes of pathogen, not one unique antigen. And another very important characteristic is that their TCRs and BCRs are made by gene recombination. So gene recombination within the TCR and BCR genes during T cell development generates this random antigen specificity that will be unique for every T or B cell. So very importantly, this TCR and BCR gene is not encoded completely in the genome. And why is that? Because we have only 20,000 genes, but we have 100,000 different TCRs and BCRs. So how would that work? That can't work, because even if we say immunologists are the most important people, they should have all the genes for themselves. So the max, if we would use up all our genes for TCRs and BCRs, we would have 20,000 TCRs or BCRs, but we have 100,000. And honestly, we are not that important, so we need other genes as well. So we cannot use up everything by TCRs and BCR genes. So Mother Nature has developed this fantastic method of a cut and paste strategy to use just a couple of genes, and by random cutting and pasting them along, you get this huge diversity of T and B cell receptor. And that is done by gene recombination, and we're going to discuss this in another video more in detail. Another characteristic that is important to know is that all TCRs or BCRs on one cell are specific for the same antigen. So they all have, every cell has multiple copies of the same TCR on its surface. So they all recognize the same antigen on one cell. So these are the most important general characteristics for the BCR and TCR. So let's just summarize again. So number one, it's specificity. So they all recognize just a unique antigen. So these are not classes of pathogen that are recognized. It's one unique antigen, just a couple of amino acids. Then the second characteristic is they have huge diversity. We have 100,000 different TCRs and BCRs. And then the last characteristic is clonality. So all the TCRs on one cell are the same. And those are all characteristics that are very different from the innate immune system. So they are not specific, they don't have diversity, and there's no clonality. This concludes the video on the general characteristics of adaptive immune receptors.